Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with another episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them together with input from those of you who are in the live chat room to create some randomly generated prompts, drawing prompts. It's like an improv show, only it's just me and I'm drawing. Yes, so we're going to use the randomly generated prompts to come up with ideas for cartoons, and then I'll draw a cartoon based on that idea while you're watching with your input for the fun of it. This is all for the fun of it. It's all about the joy of drawing and the practice of just doing creative stuff. That's what we're here for. Hello, Michael Pastor. Good evening, and thank you for joining. Good to see you, my friend. And yeah, I was going to say and, but I think I've explained it all. Which means, to think about it, it's maybe time for me to grab my iPad here. I do all this on my iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. I tell you that because people ask. None of this is sponsored by anyone, let alone Apple or Procreate. But as I say every week, I'm totally open to the idea. Someone wants to do some sponsorship, drop me a line. So I'm going to grab my pad here. I'm going to make sure everything is set up. And then I'm going to. Michael says, great thumbnail for tonight's episode. Yeah, for tonight's episode. Yeah, I found that a little amusing. I thought we'd start off the new year. You know, I can pull that up so we can look at that for a second. Um, I thought that, 2025 starting off pretty scary year. Here we are, day two. So far, I don't know. There have been some bad things that have happened in a day or two, but for me personally, nothing is bitten yet. It's a scary year out there. Anyway, that is that was what I was using up front. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, I've talked to other people and they tell me, well, you don't have to draw a new one of those every week. No one notices them. And for the most part, I think they're right. Most people don't notice. That's all they're good for is the promo and the 30-second intro. But it's one of the things I really like to do. It's an excuse for me. It's a reason for me to do a new drawing each week. And so I keep doing it. And I try and make them timely. Says those faces are great. Yeah, they are. They are. I don't. Yeah, they are great. Look at me. They are inspired by, homage to the original opening to Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo, where are you? That's where I got the idea, and I used some stuff similar to that. Anyway, having said all that, let's get back here. I'll open up the right files and I'll bring it over so y'all can see. I'm treating this like it's a New Year's special. I know it's the second day of the year. We're already past New Year's. We're holidays over. Everyone's back to work. Well, a lot of people are back to work. I guess a lot of people probably have these next couple of days off. But we'll treat this as a New Year's special. So, got a shorter uh, uh, option count, more focused on New Year's Eve stuff, which means that I didn't set up my dice the right way. So let's go over to the dice, shall we? Here we go. I've got a six-sided die, which I don't want. I want a D4, a four-sided die, because we've only got four choices for each thing. So here we go. Let's roll it here and see what our first options are. So we got once, twice, a third time. One. One is our first who. And once and twice and third time. Oh, come on. There we go. And three. Three is our first what. So we'll come back here. And that means it's a dragon doing a midnight toast. That's going to be our first drawing. So we'll turn off the sketch layer. Turn off the image. Come to our sketch layer. I'm going to do my sketching in blue as I usually do. And we got a dragon or dragons toasting the new year. Always wonder if I could change the D size. I could change. Well, I can change what the die is for sure. I can't really make them much bigger or smaller than what they are. I don't think. I haven't played around with that aspect of it very much. I'm trying to think what the dragon should be toasting with. I mean, physically, should they be wine flutes? Should it be champagne flutes? Should they be big kegs of wine? Kind of. The problem is I don't know how to draw that so that it looks like anything other than a glass or something. Oh, Michael says I don't think that's what he meant by toast, as in toast, shooting out fire and toasting the new year. That's funny. You know what? I really like that. I'm gonna clear this whole layer right now, and we're gonna go back and work on that idea. I like that idea, Michael. So it can just be a dragon. Put a thing. I always talk about working in simple shapes. When I do a dragon, almost always the head is kind of a triangular shape. Do a lot of triangles actually when working with dragons. And let's see, I'm gonna want it to be toasting the new year. This, this is just the kind of pun I like. I think, what do I think? I think I want to shift this around so I can make it larger on the page. So let's grab the head and the breath and make them up a little more, move it back, and then we can take the arm. Now, it's so sketchy, I could just redraw it, but why not since it's here already? Put it up like that, and then I can grab the whole thing and make it bigger on the page there. And then we can give him a wine glass that he's holding, just to make it even a little funnier. All right, I like this. So this is the kind of pun I like. And I think we've got enough details here for me to just kind of go into it. So we're going to go up to the lines layer. I'm going to switch over to black ink. Kaylee, hello, Kaylee. It's charcuterie. Oh, you people are hot tonight. Haha, get it? Hot. You're not as good as your puns, but what is this charcuterie? I love it. I know that my viewers are the best people. Here we go. That looks pretty good. Wow. I think that we are going to have a superior drawing that probably has never been drawn before. It's kind of hard, even with this kind of thing, to come up with ideas that aren't borrowing from something, but haven't been done by someone before. I think that that's okay. Right? The world is full of your interpretation of something that someone else has done before. As long as you're honest about that, as long as you don't start claiming that you came up with something brand new. It's, a lot of the great classic pieces of art and literature are a a now famous writer doing an interpretation of something else. Half of Shakespeare, more than half of Shakespeare, is retelling stories that had been told before. Now we look at it and we say, it's Shakespeare, but most of the most famous of his plays are based on things that had been popular already. It was just his version of it. Kind of like Disney doing versions of classic fairy tales. And so that should be true for us in our drawings as well. It's okay that someone has done this before, as long as we're looking to add something new, add our own touch to it. Now I'm going to use some of this stuff I'm going to be doing as using color to bring it in. So I'm not going to draw the fire this time. I will use, I'm not going to draw it in black. I'm going to come in and add it on the color layer, maybe. I don't know, because I think it's going to overlap the bread some. So let's come in. I'm going to draw the fire. Yeah, definitely going to overlap that. And then I've got to go back in with the black and clean up. One of the beautiful things about working digitally is I can not worry about this um, until it gets to the point that I need to worry about it. Okay. Oh, you know what I also want to do? I didn't even think about this before, but I'm going to take that off because I want to give our dragon a party hat. You know, the kind you wear at a New Year's party. All right. I think this is looking really good. Good thinking, folks. Good thinking. All right, so we're going to switch over to the gloaming brush that I use when I'm doing doing the coloring. I'm gonna turn off the sketch layer and just double check it. Go back to that lines layer, double check. There's nothing that needs to be cleaned up because there is a little bit that could use some cleaning up. Just want to make sure there's enough in there so the lines speak for themselves. Oops, got a little messy there. Let's come back. Those fingers weren't looking done. There we go. That's what I needed. Okay. Okay. So now we'll come back to the colors layer. We're going to turn the gloaming brush back on. And I guess I need to decide if I'm going to make this a red dragon, which I very often, usually when you just wind up with a generic dragon, it's a red dragon. But I think, I don't know if we need to have that be true here. We can get into it. The whole once we start opening that question up, particularly with the D&D aspect, the question of, well, red dragons are the ones that spit fire. If you wanted to spit fire, it's got to be a red dragon. I don't know that we need to be that beholden to the rules, but I'm going to uninvite those questions from my life by making it a red dragon. See, I'm doing that shape within a shape. Drawing, I'm locating the shapes that are part of the body and giving each one its own coloring section. And that helps to create an additional sense of texture and three-dimensionality. Like that. Quickly do that. Doesn't matter especially that I get. You don't, and the nice thing, that leaves you the room to not have to worry about filling up the space entirely, or if you go over the lines a little, it doesn't really matter as much. Now, want a lighter version of that for filling out the wings and the belly, the underbelly, I should say. Like so. And a darker version for the claws. And what else do we need? We need a slightly brownish yellow for the horn. Green and blue on the party hat. Those seem like nice colors. Slightly off white, off blue, whitish blue. I don't know what I'm saying. And what I'm also grabbing quick colors here for that. Now we need the crust on the bread to be darker. And the bread itself be kind of a bready brown color. Little brown bread. And then I need a darker, much darker version for where it is toasting. And we want it to be toasting 2025. See, toasting 2025. Ha ha ha. And James, hello, James. Happy New Year's to you. I'm going to come back to the red here, go for a slightly darker version, and put a little bit of highlighting, shading, again to help with this sense of three-dimensionality and texture. There we go. And I think that if I come back here and pop over to my inking brush again, I'm okay dropping a little stand down in the corner because we have a dragon toasting the new year. Oh, good pun, people. Way to go, way to go. Teamwork. That's what we like. So let's see. James, I said it's good to see you. It's all about lines and color. It is all about lines and color. It's all about lines and color and leading your viewer to see the things you want them to see. Michael says, recently used your shape within a shape technique on a sketch. Awesome. Did it work? Did it turn out well for you? Did you like the results? I like the way you do fire. Thank you. Works out okay. See what you want them to see. That's a lot of the choices, particularly when you pointedly don't do something you should, or do something wrong, or not do something that is right because it would draw the eye to something that you don't want them to look at. It might be correct in the real world, but what matters is that the picture makes your viewer see and think what you want them to think. So even if it's technically wrong, even if it does not the way things work in the real world, if it draws their eye to where you want it to go and it leaves it open for them to think what you want them to think, then it's the right thing for the drawing. Oh, worked out for a first try? Good. Yes, excellent. I hope that you keep playing with it and that it continues to work well for you. As it's not for every situation. I certainly don't do that in a lot of my finished drawings. You don't see that on my, we were looking at the finished piece that I did for the intro. You don't see me doing that kind of coloring there, but particularly when you're doing quick coloring or something that you want to have that loose feeling, you see the same kind of thing but it doesn't have to be, that doesn't mean sloppy. It can be finished if that's the feeling you want. And I'm right now thinking about New Yorker cartoons, anything that's doing coloring with an ink wash or some kind of watercolor. That's the style that is a style that you can use with that, and it will work great even in a finished piece. For me, there's a big difference here between what that looks like, and again, so I color very specifically when I'm doing this. I want the finished cell animation coloring style to look like that to give a. That's the feel of this drawing, but these are different. These are quick drawings. These are all uh, advanced doodles, let's say. I do want the viewer to look at the flame. I want the viewer to look at the flame, and the flame, as you may note, is pointing at the 2025, which is what I want them to see there. So the dragon's head is back and pointed up that way, um, and the flames continue that. The bright yellow is certainly going to draw their eye, the viewer's eye. Anyway, there we go. Good first drawing, everyone. Well done. Gonna have another sip of my drink. And come back here, reset things. So come and turn off round one and turn on round two. Turn back on um, our encounter tables. And we'll pause. Good first drawing. We've got that dragon toasting the new year in. Let's go back to the dice and see what we get for our second drawing, our second randomly generated prompt of the new year. We're gonna go once, twice, a third time, and three. Three is our second who, and once, twice, a third time. One. We had one and three. Now we got three and one. So let's see. That would be a mind flayer, father time. Okay, so now that could be the mind flayer is father time or a mind flayer interacting with father time, but that is going to be our topic for our second sketch. So let's come back and make sure everything's set. And so I think for sure it's got to be the mind flayer interacting with father time. So I think, let's see. I'm gonna, my basic father time head is like that. And then we could have the mind flayer behind him. I'm thinking about a gag. And what I'm thinking is that the mind flayers, so they eat brains and eat thoughts, right? And 2024 was a heck of a year. So if Father Time is happy to have those memories eaten away, now finding a way to make that to phrase that's maybe more of a challenge. How would I phrase that? That's a challenge for the end of the drawing. You guys want to think about that? I'm open to suggestions. Let's say the joke is going to be that. I mean, it's bad news to have the mind flayer come and pull your memories and brain out. sketching, and I'm not talking. Alright, that seems to be about all I need for a sketch. He said as he kept drawing anyway. Yeah, probably needed those little extra sketches. Okay, now we got about what we need. Again, these are quick sketches, right? They're going to be imperfect anyway, but do this and make it a little bigger. All right. So now, a little lower on the page. I want to leave enough room so we can put some kind of text in there. Okay. Hey, Chris Andrew, thank you for joining us. I'm going to jump up to the lines layer, and I think I'm going to start with the Mind Flayer. Because the tentacles in this case, are going to be the toughest part of this. And I feel pretty confident about the shape of Father Time's head here. And we're going to put that in there. There we go. Looking pretty good. Now, when you're drawing for yourself, I would recommend uh, the more challenging the subject is, the more you should spend time doing a clear sketch. Like I'm jumping in with as little as possible for a couple of reasons. One is that I'm showing off. The other main reason is that this is not supposed to be a finished drawing, right? As I was saying earlier, these are quick sketches. So if I was doing this in my sketch pad, I would take even less time. I would just draw it in. But I want to have something that looks a little good. Again, showing off. But before I drew any of this, if I was doing it for real, I would be much more specific about what I'm putting in the sketch phase. can get a little weird over there. So I'm gonna finish off this part. Sorry, falling quiet again as I'm thinking about the words. Thinking about the words while I'm still doing the drawing. Alright, and then our sash comes down like this. I. Not sure. Not sure why I'm not talking now. I just kind of got quiet. Maybe I'm trying to make this better than it needs to be. And I'm letting that interfere. But, people often ask how, when on my other show, my Wednesday show, where I'm talking to people, I'm doing interviews while I'm drawing. And I don't ever get to a point where I just kind of, or I very rarely get to a point where I fall silent because I'm focusing on the drawing. And that's because I'm doing an homage to something that already exists. And here, I'm, even though it's a quickie, throwaway, sketchy drawing, I'm thinking about it and I'm making creative decisions, and it just eats up that's that's the same brain space I use for thinking and talking. So when I get to a part of the drawing that I want to think about, suddenly I stop talking, which makes for terrible radio, as it were. All right. So we're getting to the point where it's going to be time to think about what the words are going to be that goes here. I'm going to do some coloring, but I hope you guys have been thinking about it, because I've had enough questions in my head about what I was drawing that I have not been able to get a really good handle on you guys clearly had the right idea, right? You were getting it earlier, right? This idea is that the Mind Flayer is drinking up 2024. Father Time is happy to get rid of it, and the Mind Flayer not so happy to get it. All right, let's turn off the sketch layer, see how things are looking here. Got to add in a few touches. But it's mostly there. That's looking good. Pardon me. Let's switch over to our gloaming brush and start putting in some colors. We're going to use purple. No, we're going to go to the color layer first of all and put purple. It's not the right purple. That's more like it. For the Mind Flayer's pallid color. And the shape, I think I see in this Mind Flayer, I see a shape like this, and a shape like this, and a shape like that. Those are the shapes I'm seeing within the head. So that's what I'm coloring to fit. And then let's stick with the Mind Flayer. So we're going to put him in a faux black robes. I say faux black because, as you saw and have seen me talk about before, this is actually a blue. Right? We're in the blues and we're just a dark blue. But it's what we accept as black. What are, again, getting the brain to think what you want it to think. Go. Maybe inner lining of red. Same for the belt. There we go. All right, and then we're going to go to our Father Time here. Of course, the beard is just going to stay white. Well, but we're going to use some color. We're going to use some shading to move that along, because right now it looks like we forgot to color it. I'm going to use a blue, like a brighter blue. This is the color that I've used for Father Time a lot. In the past when I have drawn him, and there are lots of times that I have. Besides New Year's cards and such, I did a children's book a number of years ago that I only ever sold myself. It was a self-published little thing with the character that I tried to pitch and sell, but it didn't get any takers. It was Dr. Sim, the world's smartest monkey, and the story that I did that I finished and drew up into the book was Dr. Sim Saves the New Year. That was for quite a while. That was available on one of the websites that I kept up. All right, so we're going to use a bluish gray to highlight the beard. again, see how that takes it from looking, it's still mostly just white, but putting those little touches in takes it from mostly white to purposefully white. Oh, look, it's white. It's not just blank, it's white. All right, so let's see what we got here. I need to add some highlights, some shadows on these things, and then we can get to that text. That text that has been hanging over us like the sword of Damocles since the start of this drawing. How are we going to phrase it to really sell the idea? This is not, I mean, we could say that a lot of people, or some people, would get the joke just from the drawing. But a lot of people won't. Kind of need some text. Some text. Ooh, I'll tell you what I do want to do. I don't want his eyes to be white. I want them to be yellowish. There we go. And Father Time can have green eyes. I don't know why, but he does. So, got the shading here. We need some for the blue, for sure. You don't always need to shade everything in a drawing either. Pick the parts that'll be helpful. Again, some of this you just learn. A lot of this, in fact, you just learn by trying and doing. I don't know that the Mind Flayer's clothing needs any shading to bring it home to stress it, but the Father Time really needed something to help make that less, or just kind of sell the idea that it's robes that are clinging to his body a little better. All right, and then probably his skin could use a little something. Okay, well now let me look at the. We both descended from an octopus. I just digested election day, huh? That's funny. That's funny. I usually try not to get too political on this show, but uh, Chris Andrews, the next edition. uh, Chris says Michael nailed it with last year. Sucked. That. Hello, Penny. Hello, Penny Firehorse. Thank you for joining us. We're trying to figure out what to do for the text on this drawing of a mind flayer having a meal with Father Time and digesting 2024. I'm going over these because I was noticing that it was just a little. They need to get pulled up just a bit so that it's clear. They draw enough attention to themselves. Oh, I think what I also do is give him. That really sells it even more. All right, so now we are again. I'm really feeling pulled towards that election comment, breaking my own general standing rules. Um, I don't want. I mean, I don't want to. Uh, um, you know what? I'm gonna say. Just got to the election. A That way, it leaves it open for some interpretation. That tail is going too much. When it was pointed off like this, it was unclear as to whether it was going to Father Time or uh, to the Mind Flayer. Anyway, let's come back down here and stick a little stand over next to the scythe, because we got ourselves a Mind Flayer and Father Time. And a lot of good work from you, my friends in the audience. Oh, Linnea, you snuck in too. I didn't see you. Hello, Linnea. Oh, wait, that's not my dad. Yes, I'm quite happy. This turned out. You know what? Even though we're still struggling on whether or not that's um, the right wording, I this turned out much better as a drawing than I had thought it might. Quite pleased. All right, so we've done that. We also, for the newcomers, so you can see it, we also did a dragon toasting the new year. Huh? Huh? And this came from Michael and Chris and Alex and a bunch of other folks. Oh, Alex, look at you popping up here. Didn't even see you. Happy New Year to you, my friend. It's a lot of people. I got my head down drawing. People are coming in, and I don't get a chance to say hi. Hello. All right, so we had a dragon toasting the new year. Wait. Gotta stop. We had a dragon toasting the new year. We had a Mind Flayer and Father Time. And now it's time to turn those off. Turn on around 3. Turn back on our New Year's special encounter tables and go back to the dice one more time. We're going to do one more, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening. So here we go. Time to roll the dice. Once or twice, a third time. 3s and 1s. All we're getting today are 3s and 1s. Hold on. There are 2s and 4s on this die, right? There. Okay, 2. 2 is our next who, and see 2, 2, and 2. Or you know what? I haven't given you guys a chance to chime in. You get some say in it. But we're going to start with the idea that maybe an ogre. Ogre baby New Year. I need another drink. What do you guys think? Ogre January 1st, 9 a.m. Ogre Noel Baby New Year. Something else entirely. This is the part where you guys get to chime in. You get to bring what you want to the table, and I'm now opening the table for suggestions. Michael Pastor asks, "Oh no, Lala! I was on Lala's show uh, last Friday, right? Last Friday or Saturday? I was on Lala's show, her Vlogmas. It went terrific. We did some low stakes random drawing. We created a had her audience suggest who's and what's, or actually, I gave the who's and they gave a bunch of what's, and we did a quick roll off and wound up doing a drawing. It was a lot of fun, and I even got Lala to do some drawing and enjoy it too, which was my main goal. So, Michael, you're giving mixed messages here. You had the Baby New Year on the Ogre Baby New Year and the Hungover Ogre. I mean, I'm used to mixed messages are fine, right? That's okay, but I didn't expect them to come in back to back posts. All right, so I guess for sure we're going to do the Ogre. Um, I'm kind of leaning towards the Ogre Baby New Year. Yes, Father Time carries a scythe. Baby New Year just has a hat and a sash. What can I maybe give the Baby New Year to hold in his tiny little hands? Wow, this crazy thing about this is the ogre with tiny little hands and the big jowly face. It's looking like someone I don't want to mention. This is really looking like a political drawing. All right, here we go. Let's go to the lines there. I saw a diaper comment up there already. You guys get to work on that. because I'm going to do some drawing here. And we're going to have ourselves drawn before you know it. We got ourselves is a broken down New Year before we even get started. Yeah, well, just saying to someone else a little earlier, and we're only a day and a half into it, but let's just I believe in being thinking positively despite all uh, evidence pointing the other way. Look for good. Look for the good. We've got a bunch of bad. It's easy to find the bad. It's easy to dwell on the bad. But not to be too simplistic, that nothing good comes from that. It's punny and simplistic, but it's true. I guess I mean, uh, again, not to make it too political here, uh, but it was just my friend and business partner Owen K.C. Stevens announced today that he slash we are going to be releasing a card game or kickstarting or crowdfunding. It's not Kickstarter, it's BackerKit. We crowdfunding a card game uh, that he came up with uh, called Lying Liars and the Lies They Tell. I think that's what Lying Liars, something like that. And I'm going to be doing the art for that. I'm looking at this and saying, oh, there are things I can learn from this drawing. I think this baby New Year, unless you guys have come up with something good there, is going to be saying something. Ready or not, here we go. All right, let's turn off the sketch layer. Add a few more lines in here to finish it out. All right. I think we've got what we need here. You know what? I want to come down here, fix the sash just a little bit, so it's clear that it goes around the leg. There we go. Let's see. Lies, damn lies, lies and statistics. Yes. Yeah, if you go to Owen's Facebook page or social media, you will see an ad for the game. It's going to be kickstarted. The crowdfunding is going to begin on January 20th, as he says, because nothing important is happening that day anyway. Um, it should be fun. It should be fun. All right, so we're going to switch over to our gloaming brush. We're going to switch over to our colors layer, and we are going to uh, do the ogre. Now, on my Wednesday show, this past week I had a recorded show because of um, the new year. I wasn't sure I was going to be up for it, and I wasn't sure who would want to on New Year's Day come come in the evening to do a live stream. So I did a recorded show with my good friend Jeff Quick, who works for Cobalt Press these days, and he announced on the show something which hadn't been. We didn't really. He teased on the show something that I have kind of been teasing around. That I last year did a project. I worked on a project with them that hasn't been announced yet, and uh, he basically hinted at it too. No further real details came out. It's not like he the any of the facts of the matter came out, but it was more than me hinting at the fact that I had a project I couldn't talk about. Jeff came out and said for sure that it's a project with Kobold Press that I can't talk about. So I guess that doesn't really tell you that much more. But it is getting closer and closer to being real. Um, and hopefully in the next couple of months will get announced, and then I can tell you more about it. But for that project, the reason I bring it up here is for that project, I drew a bunch of ogres. Kind of developed the idea of what I think um, my kind of ogre should look like. So here we go. Here we go. Doing that. I'm going to come in. Let's see. We're going to need a little darker bit of the yellow and put some highlights in or some shadows in here and there. So yeah, no, interesting year in that um, say this thing with Owen. If it goes well, there's a card game that I'm going to have out where I will do the art for it. There's another project I'm doing for a private client um, that I'll talk about when I'm available. I don't know that it's ever going to be available for public purchase, but what I can say is it's a card game that I will probably be doing the art for. As well, I've been working on the game design for it recently. We're about to wrap that up. Like I say, for it's for a private client, and it's not it's not necessarily going to be a game that's for sale. It's going to be a promotional game that they use in their business. So I don't know that you'll ever even have the chance to play it. I don't know. Although I suppose that if I can convince them that they could make some money, they might make it available. Anyway, here we go. Looking good. Looking, well, I mean, good is a relative term here. I'm feeling pretty good about Ready or Not. Here we go. Or Ready or Not, here I come. But I'm going to look up now and see what you guys said in the chat. 2025, I'm already Ogre it. Ah, ha, ha, ha. That's funny. That's funny. By the end of the year, you'll see why they chose me. Michael says, my guess is that it's an intro board game to RPGs with your coloring book map game that I love. You know what? I can tell you for sure it's not that because I'm still having talks about doing that also. And I think there's a very, well, I would say very, there's a good chance that that's going to come together in the next in the early part of the year, and then I will be working on that in the late winter or early spring. But fingers crossed. It's not for sure, but yeah, no, that idea is still in play. I've been pitching it to more people, and I have someone that looks like they probably will be interested in putting it on their schedule and funding it. Right? It's not so much I don't know. You know, life's weird. I could just do that, but I need to do things that will pay me money. Sadly, I'm not a money driven guy myself, except in that the world forces me to be. All right, there we go. I like what you guys have said. What's this? If this worries you, 2026 will be a baby gibbering mouther. Yeah, it's like there certainly is a kind of, yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet. How about if it's oop, didn't go back to my inking brush. All right, what if it's a quit your whining? Ready or not? Hold on, hold on. Here we go. I'm going to put my little stand there in the corner because we have here an Ogre Baby New Year. Quit your whining. Ready or not? Here we go. Did you write "Quit Your Whining" on your own, Michael? I hadn't looked up for that. Did did we sync up again? Crazy, crazy. I also, Chris, I do love the idea of some jokes about if you think this is bad, next year is going to be a gibbering mouther. It's funny. It's funny stuff. All right, that was a good set of drawings tonight, my friends. Let me just hold on a second. I know you can't see this, but I'm gonna pop over here and check out something so I can give you a firm answer to something else. Nope, that's not it. How do I look this up quickly so that I don't bore you fine folks? I don't want to bore you. I don't want to bore you. I want to come over here and I want to scroll down. There we go. The card, it's called Trump Card, is the name of the game. Trump Card. The game of lying liars and the lies they lie about. That is the game. And as I say, Owen announced today that is going to be fundraising on BackerKit starting on the 20th of January. I will post about it in my social media. He will post about it in his social media. You can sign up so that you will be on the list and get information as it becomes available. And I suggest you do that now. Please do. Trump card. Trump card. So just fine generic term. Of course, I did some Trump cartoons back in 2019 and early 2020. In 2020 during the campaign, during the COVID, as I did. Wow. Let me stop and say a complete sentence, shall I? Back in 2020, I was doing a several times a week single panel cartoon that I was calling Shelter in Place Comics. And the first 50 or 60 of them were mostly about the pandemic. But then as the election of 2020 rolled along, I did more and more of them about the election. Up through January 6th, I did one in particular on January 6th, and I did a lot more Trump-related cartoons in the second half of that strip. I kickstarted and funded a collection of the first 50 cartoons. The second group, I think I only wound up doing 40 more. I didn't get to 100, and I never kickstarted that. So the second half of them, although they're still available in my social media, never got printed in a book. And there's a lot of Trump cartoons in there. So we're using a little bit of the little bit of the art that has been shown so far in the announcement comes from the art I did back in 2020 and is going to be the basis for the art that I do for the card game. Just so you know. Now you know. End of advertisement. So I'm going to have one more sip. We'll do a wrap up and we'll get out of here and go on to the first weekend of the new year. There we go. 3 drawings down. We're off to a good start here in 2025. Although you really maybe couldn't tell it from the drawings. We did an Ogre Baby New Year. We did a Mind Flayer and Father Time. And we started off with a dragon toasting the new year. Lots of good puns, lots of good jokes, and a really good time with the folks in chat. Thank you, everyone who showed up tonight. Thank you to Michael Pastor and Chris Andrew. I'm going to scroll here and see how many more names I can remember who was here. Penny Firehorse was here. Linnea Lemon was here. Alex Thomas was here. Good to see you, my friend. Jim Thomas was here. 2 different Thomases. Unrelated, I suppose. Kaylee Miles is here, and probably a few other people who I'm overlooking right now. Thank you for joining me. For those of you who are watching this on replay, well, thank you too. I appreciate you being here. I hope some of you have, if not at the same time as me, afterwards are inspired to grab some pen and paper or electronic drawing instrument and do some drawing yourself. We're in the new year. We're looking for, people are looking for resolutions. I'm not saying you need to have it as a resolution, but how about a loose goal for the year is to do some more drawing. Do drawing just for the fun of it. Not with any goal in mind. Not with it's a lot of our resolutions are goal oriented. But just do some drawing for the fun of it. That's a good resolution. We can all get behind that. That's my challenge to you. I, of course, will be back next Thursday to do some more drawing for the fun of it. For me, fun for you, and I hope I'll see you there. Meanwhile, thank you very much, and